Hi YouTube, it's Miniforce Wilderness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the second Korean toy review of this month, and it's the final part of the Miniforce season 1 bots that I've finally got hold of, and so I've now got all the parts to make the combiner from the season 1 of Miniforce. And the bot I've got to show you today is this guy, is Maxbot. And before we get a look at the toy, let's do the packaging like I usually do. Now, he came in quite a large box, as you can see there. This is the Korean version. This is the Korean reissue. Obviously, it's got the new style packaging. It's got like the Miniforce logo up there. It's got shots of the CGI character. It's got Max down in a little corner. It's got all the Korean Hangul all over it. It's got the pictures on the side that show the components of the 2-bot combiner. On the back, you got the pictures of the 4-bot combiner with all 4 bots and Giantron, and then pictures of his base robot mode on this side, and then you've got all the product information on the bottom if that's of interest to you, and more logos on the top. Big heavy tome. Now when I compare it with Lucy's box, which is also from the Korean reissue line, you can see Lucy's box is a lot smaller and it's a lot narrower and shorter as well. So Max is quite a big figure, and so that's reflected in the packaging. As with the other Miniforce figures I've bought recently, comes with 2 sets of instructions. It comes with a set of instructions that show you how to convert Max to and from his robot mode, and show you how to convert him into his the 2-bot combiner, where he combines with Volt to form Volt Max or whatever they called it. And then you get the other set of instructions which show you how to configure all the figures to make the 4-bot Giantron combiner. So that's all well and good. Now, Max, bought this guy from Gmarket. I mean, this month I bought the 2 remaining characters. I bought Sammy from AliExpress, and I bought this guy from Gmarket. I've bought quite a lot of bots, Korean bots from Gmarket lately. I've given up with 11th Street because I'm having so much trouble with that website. It's just not worth me bothering with it. Also, it's pretty expensive because they only use EMS shipping, which is pretty pricey, whereas Gmarket, they have the FedEx shipping option, which is considerably cheaper, and I will say faster. It also gives you a tracking code, so you can track the parcels. It comes to you a lot more readily. And I ordered both of them at the same time. I wanted to see what the difference was, price and shipping speed wise, between the 2. Max arrived a day after Sammy. The FedEx shipping, even though I had a shipping updates for it, it seemed to get delayed because FedEx, what they do is when they put it on the plane, it does like a round robin sort of. Instead of going direct flight from Korea to the UK, it goes from Korea to China, and then it goes from China to Germany, then to France, and then to the UK. And it got held up a couple of times en route. So this thing took a couple of days more than I was expecting, but it eventually arrived. Also, the price, buying these 2 from 2 separate sources, the AliExpress was considerably cheaper. I mean, it cost me, what was it? It cost me like 35 quid. And this cost me 55, so there's a £20 difference between the 2. So there is that. Now, Max's alt mode is a big, chunky SUV, 4x4 type vehicle. You could say it's sort of modelled after a Humvee or something like that. A very big, boxy, off-road vehicle. Super heavy, very solidly plugs together. It's got some nice paint apps. It's got, I mean, they're kind of like a metallic sort of tail lights. It's got like the black windows down the side. It's got silver bits on top. It's got some grey bits there, some silver bits, some little lights there. It's got window detail. It's got a nicely painted grille with a, like the Miniforce logo there, and some lights. And then it's got painted wheels, very large wheels that are pinned that roll extremely well. This figure, I will say, has a few minor QC issues compared to some of the others, but we'll get into that as we go through the review. Now, it's big, it's heavy, it rolls extremely well. Not much more you can say about the vehicle mode. It's pretty cool looking. Slight unusual design around the back here. It's got this angled thing here, and it's got these bits on top which kind of look like a spoiler, I suppose. But all in all, it's a pretty good alt mode. And there's not much more I can say about it. Now, transforming to the base robot mode, unfortunately, requires you, because this guy, like Sammy, he splits in half. You know, he splits in half, like that, to form a pair of arms for the four-way combiner and a pair of legs for the two-way combiner. And also, you need to split him in half to transform him into his robot mode. The reason being is because his head is tucked away inside here. And when you're transforming it, if you keep it in vehicle mode and you start transforming it into robot mode, you have to split him apart to flip the head out. Whereas Sammy, the head is already flipped out and you only have to flip the head away when you turn him into a pair of legs. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's, when you look at the inside of these, you can see all this engineering that's been put into these figures. I mean, you've got panels there, you've got flip out fist there, you've got joints there for the arms, you've got the head, you've got the combiner joint, and you've got all the bits for the waist and the hips. And there's quite a lot of engineering that goes into these things inside. You know, and you put them together in vehicle mode, and apart from a few panel lines down the side, you can't really appreciate just how much engineering's gone into these things. And like I said, the original toys, which these are based upon, was designed by Sonocon, and you know, Sonocon know a thing about, you know, transforming robot toys, unlike, was it Gaia, the company they got to do the Miniforce X combiner figures, which were absolute atrocity in plastic, most of them. They did not transform or hold together particularly well in combiner mode. But these ones, they're pretty solid. I mean, obviously, they're all made in China, but the build quality on this guy isn't quite as good as some of the others. Like I said, there's a few QC issues, which I'll get into, but you have to transform, you know, to transform him, you have to split him in two, so, which is a bit unfortunate, and that's what I'm getting at. But transforming him anyway, you have to start sort of splitting him apart. So you've got the arms that you can lift up there, and then you can start pull the arms to the side like that. Then you can start unhooking the legs. Now it does plug together extremely well, and it's difficult to separate. There we go. And then you fold down the waist like so. Split the legs. Then you have this flap that comes up. Then you bring the foot out like so, and you do the same on the other side. Flip the flap up, bring out the foot, and that's pretty much the legs done. Now moving up to the top, this is where, you know, we'll leave the head till last. Right, the arms. Now you have to pull these out a little bit. Oh, quite a loud crack. You can then flip out the fists, and then you fold that round and twizzle it forwards. Same on this side. Pull it out. Ooh. Fold it down. Twizzle the fist out. And then bring that forward for the elbow. And then the final part is getting the head out. And this is where you have to split in half, like so. Oh yeah, I forgot about these little things. They've got to flip those up as well. Them windscreen things, panels have got to flip up. There we go. And then the head folds up, and then you can put them back together. Can be difficult aligning all the pegs, especially because the waist moves around quite a lot. But there we go. There is Max in his robot mode. Now, if you just hold on a moment, I'm getting a bit of condensation on the camera, so if you just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry about that. This camera suffers from condensation issues in the cold weather of autumn and winter, and no central heating in this house. This room gets a bit cold, so when I switch the computer on and start using it, the camera warms up, and it has like a plastic screen in front of the lens, which gets condensation on the inside, and you have to like warm it up to get rid of the condensation. And as you saw before I stopped the filming, you can see things were starting to get a bit foggy. So it's a problem I have to put up with. Sometimes I have to, you know, dehumidify it, but anyway, getting on to the figure. Yeah, here he is, Max in his robot mode. Let's do the size comparison. There he is next to Combiner Wars Megs, and as you can see, he's a big boy. He's bigger than a leader class figure, hence the reason why he comes in a large box. He's pretty cool actually. I quite like him. He's all right. When I was originally looking at buying some of the Miniforce figures, I was looking at getting this guy instead of Volt. But then I saw the way that the waist works and the way he splits in half, for his leg and arm mode, and I was a bit, I'm not too keen on that, so I passed over him and went for Volt eventually. But actually, he's not too bad. Obviously, this is the reissue figure. The build quality is okay on it, but I have got one of the elbows was a bit loose. Actually, they're not too bad this morning. One of the elbows was loose, so I think I tightened it up or whatever. Anyway, so it's not too bad. He's big, he's chunky, he's heavy. Now, articulation wise, he's not too bad actually. He's got a head rotation. It's on that panel which locks in, so you can't get any more than that. You've got like a butterfly joint there that gives you a bit of motion forwards and back. You've got the shoulder joint there, which folds a little bit, not too much. I mean, you can you? No, you can't. So the shoulder joint is stuck inside this piece here. So that folds up like that. It can bend forwards a little bit, and then it can bend back a little bit. So it's a bit restricted in the shoulder joint. It does have bicep swivel, and then you've got the elbow joint, which folds to 90 degrees, and then there's nothing at the fist. So, but the clearance issues around these joints here are a bit tight. So sometimes, especially on this bit, if you've got that turned slightly, it can sometimes impede the elbow joint because of the clearances. So yeah, there's the arms. Now the waist, it does not have a waist swivel, but what he does have is this double jointed waist. So he does have an ab crunch, effectively. It's a bit, it's not the tightest thing. There's a lot of weight in the top of this thing, so when you're messing around with it, sometimes it'll droop down. I don't know whether you could tighten that up. And getting down to the hips and the waist. The legs only go splay out that far, and they're on a soft ratchet, so the legs fold forwards, they fold back. These ratchets aren't the greatest. There's a lot of weight in these legs. Does have 5 swivels though, and then it's got a little bit of a knee joint, which doesn't go that far, to be honest, and you can see like the tops are kind of loose on this second sort of waist joint, and then the foot doesn't really do anything. You can probably get a little bit of a toe bend on it. So he's not super posable, and he's kind of bulky, but he's not too bad. He's not free bad really. Looks nice. It's got quite a bit of detail here on the legs. Obviously he's got stuff on the arms. His fists are facing sideways, so if you want to get the fists facing forward, you actually have to rotate the arms like that. But then you've got all the open, you've got all the screw joints and all the openness, and you lose the elbow. So yeah, there's no fist rotation on this guy. So yeah, he has some minor limitations, but he's not too bad otherwise. He's kind of alright. He's a big chunky boy. He's got a decent amount of articulation. He's got a few restrictions, as you'd expect, being a Korean toy, and also due to the way the engineering is for the combiner gimmick. But that's all we can say about the robot mode, really. It's not too bad. It's pretty good. It does have a few issues, but he's okay. He's not bad. Now, going back to for combiner mode, basically you have to transform him back to vehicle, so you can do that quickly. You've got to be careful with these shoulders when you're going back. You've got to make sure everything's lined up before the arms will collapse, and they're very tight. Oh. Right. So then you split it in half, fold the head away, put them back together, and then put the legs together, clip that in, fold them back, plug everything together, and then fold those bits down, and you're done. Right, so you go back to your vehicle mode, separating, and then you start folding things out. So first of all, you fold out the combiner port, and then for the leg mode, the 2-leg mode, you fold that down and you're done. Same on the other side. You can, when you fold the combiner port out, it then gives you room to fold the head away and then fold down the foot. And there he is as a pair of legs. So you get VaultBot, who's configured into his sort of shirt torso mode, and then you plug the guy in to form the combiner. And there we go. There is Max and Volt combined together in the 2-bot combiner. Now, again, it doesn't look too bad. I do prefer the look of Lucy and Sammy. I do think Lucy and Sammy looks better. My comparison, I think this looks better than that. But they don't look too bad together. They look pretty cool. I will say, yeah, there's that. This joint here, it's a bit loose. It does not plug in particularly well. You've got to be careful. There's a lot of weight in these legs, so when you're holding him, you got to, when you pick him up, you've got to be careful. Lucy has no such trouble, and he's got a lot more weight in Sammy's legs, and she holds up pretty good. Now, these are the main configurations for these bots. They do work this way, but you can swap them over. Obviously, I don't know whether they did this in the show. I'm sure they must have done. So, Lucy and Volt, I suppose it depended on what figures were around at the time to do the 2-bot combiner. But Lucy can combine with Max to again give a slightly different look, which doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad at all. And then Volt can combine with Sammy. A little bit more successfully, I will say, because they seem to hold in all right compared to. Must be Max's combiner joint is a bit loose in Volt, but there's Sammy and Volt combiner. So that's that. Like I said, they have that 2-bot combiner fit gimmick that they did, but then they do one more trick, and it is the 4-bot combiner. So let's start with this guy. Now you have to reconfigure his leg mode into a pair of arms. So you fold the combiner port down like that, flip that down, and then you come back down here and there's a little flap, and that folds out the fist, and there is an arm. Do the same with the other one. Fold the combiner port down, fold up the foot, flip out the fist, and there we have a pair of arms. So now we've just got to go through and combine the other guys into the combiner. Obviously Lucy needs to be reconfigured. Need to pull her arms off. Plug them in to there. You then fold them down. put that together, fold them fists away. Put that together and then fold that up. Take that off, put that on there. And then she's pretty much ready to go. Bolt, pull that off, pull these pieces off, and then you start reconfiguring him back into vehicle mode almost. So you get that, and then you take the arms, fold away the fists, and then fold the arms back like so, and then fold them down. And that's Volt configured into his combiner mode. Right, so you then plug in the legs. Actually, no, let's do it the other way first. Let's put Lucy and Sammy and Volt together. So you plug them together, like so. Get this piece, put it on top there, form the head. Then you put the legs on. Again, I'm not feeling this combiner port on Volt particularly. And then finally, Max. So there are some combiner ports here. Hang on. Okay, let's plug that in. Oh, I've got it the wrong way around. There we go, it goes around this way. There we go. And then plug in the other one. And there is Giantron. Well, what can I say? Actually, I was a bit... I didn't really care much for the aesthetic of this thing when I first saw it. Back in the day, when I watched Korean reviewers doing it, and then I watched the few episodes of the show which the 4-bot combiner combines in, and I wasn't taken by it because I mean it's just a bunch of cars just thrown together to form a giant robot. It's definitely Super Sentai style, and like a Super Sentai, it's got next to no articulation in this mode. The legs, nothing on the legs as with the other 2-bot combiners. The legs, they just plug in and just form a pair of pins that it stands on. And then you've got a little bit of a rotation there. Technically you have got a joint there, but you get clearance issues on these shoulder pieces, so you can only bend it up so far. You can fold that back a bit. And then you can fold the arm up, but it's not super secure, and the weight is bringing it round. So yeah, it's not, the articulation is not great. If it's hardly got nothing on the legs, very little on the arms. It does hold together reasonably well, all things considered. I mean, the whole top, Lucy is attached to Volt with 2 pegs that hold the whole thing together, and it's reasonably solid, a lot more solid than the Pentastorm X combiner for sure, and it stands up quite well. The only problem is, because of all this weight here, it tends to lean backwards a little bit. It's stable when you put it on a flat surface, but it is a little back heavy, so you've got to be careful of that. But all told, I don't mind the aesthetic on this. I think it doesn't look too bad. I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to like it. I'm not saying it's fantastically brilliant, but you know, it works for what it is, for what it does. It works, and the journey of, you know, getting all these figures and putting this thing together, was it worthwhile? I mean, like I said, my opinion of this has mellowed over the years, and that made me want to decide to get it again, especially now that they've reissued the original characters and the original figures, so then they're more readily available at a sensible price. Yeah, so I decided to go for it, and I might go for the Pentarex Combiner. I've got 2 figures for that, and I might finish that off as well, because there's an opportunity to finish that off. So that's something to chase after next year. But no, it's not too bad. Again, you know, put him next to Combiner Wars Megs. It's a big thing, pretty big. Dare I put it next to Fort Max? Just give me a moment, I'll get Fort Max down. Come on. Careful. So there it is next to Fort Max. So it basically comes up to Fort Max's waist. So yeah, that's it's big, but it's not super big. You know, it's pretty large, and I will be putting this guy in the big bot spot in my room. He's going to be supplanting Pentastorm X, who's been there for about a year or so. So Miniforce X Joyantron, as apparently this thing is called, will be going on display in my room. So there we go. I've got it. Here it is. Not much more to say about it, really. It's an interesting exercise in combining toys. Has an unusual aesthetic, which might not be to everyone's taste. The engineering's a little lackluster in places, but you know, if you compare this with, you know, like Super Sentai toys, like Power Rangers combiners, you know, Megazord, then it holds up on its own, I suppose. If you look at it in that sort of vein, rather than comparing it to, you know, like a bigger sort of like fully articulated combiner. It's okay. It's a thing. I've got it, and it's another Korean combiner for the pot, and that is my review for today, and hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's been a bit of a journey getting all the figures to put this guy together, but yeah, I've been TFL Wilderness. That's my reviews done for this month. I will be looking to buy a couple of Korean toys for next month. I've got some figures from different toy lines that I'm looking to get, like Jupino from Jurassic Cops 3, and I don't know what the other figure I'm going to go for. There's a couple of options I've got open to me. Might buy another figure from, you know, Hello Carbot's Samba line. We'll have to wait and see, or maybe Tobot V. So got a few things to look out for next month. So that's been me, TFL Wilderness. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.